Have you found anything illegal while he was actually in office?
Well, we found a lot that's certainly unethical. We found a lot that should be illegal.
There's no evidence that Joe Biden did anything illegally.
Well, if you look at the laptop and the emails between the president's son and his associates, they went to great lengths to hide Joe's involvement.
Hold on a second, Congressman. Did you just say that the whistleblower or the informant is now missing?
Well, we're hopeful that we can find the informant.
Make it easy for us. What was the crime?
Well, the crime is trading policy for money.
Which policy?
Well, we're going to get into that.
Do you believe that this is now officially the Joe Biden bribery allegation? And do you believe that you will be able to prove that? Jim Comer.
I sure hope so. And I do believe that there's a lot of smoke. And where there's smoke, there's fire.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer.
Can we, next time we do that, can we have the theme song
incredible.
to Green Acres behind? Because I really do think that Arnold the Pig from Green Acres, who, by the way, one of the great characters in 1960s television history.
I actually remember Green Acres.
Would do a better job.
Watching it.
Do a better job
Runs.
than James Comer. I love that moment where one of the hosts, Willie, goes, wait, are you telling me? Are you telling me that the informant is missing? Well, we sure hope we can find him.
I think they still haven't found him.
Finding him? You know why? Because he's an international fugitive.
Yeah.
You know why he's an international fugitive? Because he's an arms dealer, because he's an agent of the Communist Chinese Party, because he's been accused of selling illegal. I mean, this is a tic-tac-toe with Paul Lynn in the middle here. You got
Wow.
an illegal arms dealer, an agent of the Communist Chinese Party.
People are just waking up.
I know, and good morning, Washington, D.C. And then over here, X marks the square. And then you've got a guy, Willie, that was illegally smuggling Iranian oil to the Communist Chinese Party. That is who James Comer is running with, all to be able to say, well, I don't know. I sure hope so.
Awful lot of smoke, he says. Awful lot of smoke. And that might probably mean that there's fire. So they're going through with this, Joe. We're going to get into the details of it. But at least an impeachment inquiry, Speaker McCarthy announced yesterday without a vote. And an extraordinary moment, I thought, something we discussed yesterday, where Congressman Matt Gaetz just listened to the way he talks to Speaker McCarthy. It's beyond disrespect. It's, we own you. We made you Speaker. So if you don't do all these things that we're telling you to do right now, we're going to vacate the chair and you're out of your job. It is a bizarre dynamic here. And still, no evidence presented, no definitive evidence that Joe Biden had anything to do with all. This is all about Hunter Biden. So if they've got the evidence, they've had 5 years to show it since this investigation started. Let's see it.
The thing is, again, not to keep going back to pop culture.
Another one.
Wilfred Brimsley, at the end of Absence of Malice. Show me your evidence, counselor. Show me your counts. We'll get some subpoenas. Now, you can go upstairs and get some subpoenas and bring them down and have. But give me your case. And I forget the guy's name at the end. He couldn't make the case against, Paul Newman. But then again, who could? Paul Newman never looking any better than he did leaning up against the wall and at the end of Absence of Malice. Going, I think everybody here's just doing their job. But anyway, they couldn't make the case, and they can't make the case now. I can make a case, though, for Kevin McCarthy. And that case is, Kevin, you need to tell people to go to hell. if somebody ever said to me,
Immediate total compliance,
Yes.
or we will remove you.
let me just ask you, Mika, what if somebody ever said to me in any situation,
Oh, my.
at the gates of hell, if Satan said to me, immediate total compliance or what?
Yeah, we will remove you.
Yeah, or we will remove you. I would say, again, F, A, and F.
It is too.
Oh,
you can't-
it is not too early. You know, it's like almost noon in London.
Okay.
That's right.
And we got a lot of people watching in London, Willie. But I do ask this question, and I know maybe this means I'm an old man and I shouldn't talk this way, but I'm just going to talk this way, Willie. What kind of man would allow somebody talk to him publicly and bow down to him?
Especially-
I don't teach, and forget about manhood, even though this is a question of manhood and masculinity. My daughter would never in a billion years. She's the toughest of the lot. She would never in a billion years allow somebody to talk to her that way. I'm sure your daughter, your son, we don't teach it. We wouldn't allow our children to act that way. Who is Kevin McCarthy? And why does he allow anybody to talk to him that way? It's astounding that he is that weak and timid, and he's Speaker of the House.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He's not a backbencher. He's the guy, in theory, running the party, running that caucus. And we're going to play the clip, but the way Matt Gaetz talked to him, it was like, you are sit, stay, roll over, do everything we tell you to do, or else.
Kevin,
and here he is doing it. Here he is doing it. It is an extraordinary moment in our politics. And as I say again, this is all so far about Hunter Biden. We've said a million times on this show, if he committed crimes, he ought to be prosecuted for the crimes. And if he goes to jail, go to jail. So be it.
Put him in jail if that's
but
what he
there's
deserves.
still no line drawn to Joe Biden. And everything you hear is about these vagaries about a Biden crime family, a culture of corruption, but they're never specific about it because they don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Lemire, we even had the Supreme Court Justice's wife talking about the Biden crime family. Let's overthrow American democracy and put them on barges. Nobody's got any evidence at all. None at all. You've got some text messages. I'd love to know what the text messages mean. I'd love to get people under oath. I'd love to have them talking. That's what investigations are for. So investigate. That's what criminal proceedings are for. Let those criminal proceedings go forward. And if there are any crimes, you know what? Let the chips fall where they may. But again, I keep going back to the Wall Street Journal editorial page. No fan of Joe Biden, that's for sure. They attack him every day. But they even said of Comer, oh, you got to hear some smoke. You got nothing else. And yet they keep chugging along, and I don't know, maybe they'll hire Arnold the Pig as their impeachment counsel. He couldn't do any worse than James Comer.
Yeah, McCarthy keeps using the word allegations yesterday. Never presented any evidence whatsoever. There has not been any presented that now President Biden had anything to do with Hunter Biden's business dealings. In fact, some of those secret witnesses they could find, as opposed to the fugitive who's still on the lam, Devin Archer even testified that Hunter Biden and President Biden, they didn't discuss business. The Republicans haven't been able to put this case together yet. And it's McCarthy bowing down to the forces of the right from Matt Gaetz and others who they say gave him his speakership. It's also Donald Trump every day pressuring him publicly and privately to go through with this, to create a whataboutism about Trump's own legal issues going into next year's elections. And to be clear, the White House is not excited about this. No White House welcomes an impeachment inquiry. They are time-consuming. They are draining. They can end up in unexpected directions. But they are prepared. They have spent a year getting ready for this, and they feel like the politics of this are on their side. Poll after poll shows that voters just don't believe there is a there. They think this could end up really backfiring against Republicans, helping Biden potentially in next year's presidential election, but also endangering Republicans in the House, particularly those that won in Biden districts who are going to be made to have to make a very uncomfortable decision. And McCarthy, should be noted, he had just a few weeks ago said that even an impeachment inquiry should take a vote of the full House. Well, that was some hypocrisy there. He flip-flopped, didn't do it because he didn't want to expose those Republicans to that vote, and he knew he didn't have the numbers he needed.
You know, the thing is, Willie, we talk on the show a good bit about these issues that are going to impact suburban voters, independent voters, swing voters. We're not just like throwing things against the wall. It happened. It happened in 22. It happened in 20. And it's being supersized now for a super value meal of stupid in 2024. I was talking to a group of people yesterday from the suburbs of Philly. Lifelong Republicans. No more would want to vote for Joe Biden and probably won't vote for Joe Biden. They'll probably just stay home. Lifelong Republicans. You know what they were talking about? How local officials around them, their entire lives. And by the way, if you're sitting at home in Kansas City right now, go Chiefs, and you're sitting there going, well, what's he talking about? Come on, these are just East Coast elitists. No, I'm just talking to people in the suburbs of Atlanta, suburbs of Philly, suburbs of Detroit. And Willie, they're saying that they've had Republican elected officials all around in the suburbs of Philly their whole life. And he said they're gutted. You can't find them anymore. You can't find them in so many places around Philadelphia because Donald Trump and this toxic brand of Trumpism, Republicanism, is gutting the Republican Party in the suburbs of Philly, the suburbs of Atlanta, all these other suburban areas that have always been the foundation of Republican majorities, the foundation of Republican victories at the local levels, the foundation of Republican Party presidential races. And things like this impeachment inquiry, just like 6-week abortion bans, just like people trying to claim that people that killed police officers on January the 6th, responsible for the deaths, that's gutting the Republican Party. So we're not sitting here going, hey, let's let progressives pass their progressive woke agenda. No, we're not saying that. We're saying Republicans, save yourself if you can. But they seem monumentally incapable of doing it, Willie. And this is just one more step forward. This is not going to hurt Joe Biden. This is going to help Democrats politically.